Hey, everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode number 517, being recorded October 10th, 2018. I'm Alan Malventano.
I'm Jeremy Hallstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Ken Addison.
Yeah, we're missing Orion.
I mean,
not only that, but you don't even have a Jim in the background editing a mailbag.
That's
he's
true.
Already done.
But that's because he's already done.
Yeah.
He is.
Somebody was on the ball.
He has gotten over his illness mostly.
Yeah.
He came in the office just long enough to try to give us an infection.
In the sweetest way possible.
Yeah. I just wanted to spread the rest of whatever it was that he had.
Spread the love.
Make sure it got paid it forward to the rest of us.
I've been disinfecting every surface before I touch it because you and him have been sick.
That's true. I've been sick for like a good week and a half too. I'm finally getting over it. You still hear it in my voice a little probably. Anyway, let's get into the minutia of the starts of the show. PCPro.com/podcast is where you'll find the show notes for this show. Twitter.com/some guy who's never here, and then Twitter.com/PCPro. So you might as well just use the PC Pro one because
Yeah.
who knows where that other guy is.
Plus, I've got access to that one, so you never know what's going to pop up there.
Is he going to be back next week? Maybe. No.
Josh and Ryan will be out next week.
We're going to be out. Know what I'm saying?
I think I might have also been out next week, but I'm not going to be out next.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be next week? Yeah. So I'm there might have just been like just Alex here and like an empty desk. Anyway.
It may come to that.
Yeah. PCPro.com/subscribe is where you can subscribe to our mailing list. You will get an email when we're about to do a show. Was there an email? Oh, there was an email.
I remembered this week.
All right. Awesome. Patreon.com/PCPer is where you can kick us some coin and help us, keep the lights on and stuff. And one of the things from this was the mailbag, of which there's probably, as you're listening to this, there should be a mailbag posted.
Featuring the dulcet tones of Josh Walrath.
I mean, not like the live. If you're listening to it live, no, not yet. Don't scramble for it just yet. You finish listening to this, and then go to bed, and then when you wake up, it'll probably be there.
Probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
Jim is dying.
Possibly.
He's trying to not die.
Yeah.
JoshTech.com, 2Ks at the end, is where you can get the Super Pipe shirt or the Josh Tech shirt or print.
It's funny. This next week, I've actually got a wheel review coming out.
Nice.
I am shocked.
Nice.
I know.
I'm so surprised that you're doing a wheel review.
It's surprising because my writing has been horrific, and I'm trying to change that badly because I too would like to get paid.
Well, yeah.
It's always nice.
Yeah.
Money is good. To be able to, again, keep the lights on.
An exchange of
goods or services?
Goods, yes.
But not good service.
Not good service.
I'm going to tie this. I'm going to hold you to it now, Josh. The next podcast in which we feature a wheel review, I will put the Josh Tech merch on sale.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
The best part about me getting that up in the next couple of days is I'm not going to be here to talk about it on the podcast.
It's like a win.
I know. It is. Somebody's going to have to read my tripe.
So whenever Josh
and
is
figure out what I'm trying to say.
Whenever Josh is out, the merch goes on sale.
Yeah.
That should just be a thing.
Seems reasonable to me.
Good thing we don't sell Ryan merchandise.
We can't do it when Ryan's
we
out.
can't afford to do that. Taking losses.
Okay. You want to just get into the reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Christopher Koch reviewed the Razer Huntsman Elite optical flagship keyboard. An optical keyboard. Like optical, like is every key optical?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, optomechanical switches. Check that stuff out.
Sounds steampunk.
Yeah. Is this the one they do like proportional or not proportional? There was some technology a while back that.
Yeah, that's not
this.
That's not this. That's made its way into a Cooler Master keyboard, I believe.
Oh.
I don't know if that keyboard has come out yet, but it was at least announced.
Okay, so like
They look like Space Invaders.
so like what's going on in the keys?
So
like,
part of this is Razer claims you get double the lifespan. They rate each switch for 100 million presses, which makes sense, right? Less mechanical shit to go wrong in that in that small area.
But does it still click or no? This one wouldn't click, I would imagine. Right? They wouldn't try to put
I think it bottoms out. It doesn't click.
Okay.
Essentially.
What's going on there with
Why
the pogo
is there
pins and the
connectors?
That's for the wrist rest,
lights,
which has LEDs in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it does anything else than that. Maybe
it's got the RGBs. It needs to get power over there somehow. I mean, in theory, they could make other accessories, but I don't really know what you would do.
Yeah, because there just seems to be more pins there than you would need for just RGB.
Yeah.
Grab a couple of lights and stick them in your fingers and lick it and see what happens.
It's got a wheel, kind of like that Logitech keyboard, the Logitech Craft.
Yep.
So you can control it. I'm not entirely sure what level of app support it has, but through the Razer Synapse 3 software, it looks like it has Zoom support in Windows and Office. It can adjust your mic levels. You can program it to do a bunch of different stuff. And they have dedicated media keys, which is kind of a new thing for Razer. I don't think any of their other flagship keyboards have actually had dedicated media keys, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Like, that's one of the key things I want from a keyboard.
Yep. Makes sense.
So it says that all the keys can be rebound. Is that for every key, or is that just for the media keys? It was at the very top of this page where it mentioned it.
No,
I mean, if you're that bored, you can reprogram them all.
I think that is for everything.
That sounds like a Razer thing.
Yeah, so if you hold down... Well... I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
You'll have to read the article.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read this one. It went up earlier in the week.
So let's see. $200. Oh wait. The standard Huntsman retails for $150, but it doesn't have the dial and the accessory terminal.
It's an expensive keyboard.
Yeah.
However, if you're in the Razer ecosystem using their other RGB stuff, you have one of their mice, maybe one of their headsets. Having the whole chroma stuff would be nice, right? If you know all the lighting stuff, tying it together. Seems like a pretty well-built package. A lot of programmability. Got the dial. I mean, $200, as crazy as it sounds, isn't the most expensive keyboard you can buy anymore. It's definitely on the higher end. You can be like Alex and buy an Ergodox for, let's not discuss.
$350.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex buys medical grade keyboards. Okay. I guess that brings us to the next thing. Next item up for bid. Gigabyte AORUS P850W gold power supply. We'll just jump right to the let's see, 10-year warranty, $150.
Gigabyte's making power supplies.
Gigabyte's making power supplies.
Gigabyte's selling power supplies.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're probably a rebrand of somebody.
Yeah.
Let's take a look on the inside and see if we can figure out who. Oh, nice, fully modular. Okay. So you can have fun sleeving those cables if you want to. What's with this?
Yes,
what's with this?
Familiar.
What's with this? With the PCB just chillaxing on the edge
hanging around.
Oh, that's where the NSA taps in.
Oh, that's that chip. That chip we were
It's a
reading
super
about.
microchip.
That's
There you go.
That's the China chip. It's right there. Okay.
All right, moving on.
So it's doing pulses through our energy grid.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how it gets. That's how information gets out. It's just like the Ethernet
it's
over
500
power.
kilobit
Yeah.
per second, maybe at most.
Right.
Okay, probably
right.
far
What's
less.
funny is we're joking about this. Watch that actually be what that is.
I mean, how would you know? I mean, you pull these apart, and there's just so much stuff in here that you could easily stash something in there.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to ask: is how is that?
What?
Is it glued down at the bottom or something?
I don't know.
Or is it
I
just
don't know.
hanging
Why
there?
trying to
this isn't
see.
it looks like it's just hanging, so I'm not sure what.
Oh, just scroll down. It looks like it's sitting on a coil.
That's even better.
I mean, that's probably a surge protector. expecting. Is that like a triac, like a big beefy triac or something? Maybe with the circuit.
Beefy triac.
Sorry, Josh. Sorry.
You got them all hot and bothered.
Well, because usually the triacs and surge protectors are very small looking things, but if you
got Capmen and you got Triac Man.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, do we know what this is supposedly a rebrand of?
It's.
I'm amazed that they're
mentioned-
actually silk screened on the PCB there,
Well, Gigabyte's silk screen on the PCB.
but it says it's MEIC.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how it did. Where are we going?
Doo-doo-doo.
Yep. Sorry.
Gold award, even with hangy bits. You know what I'm saying?
Filter caps on modular cables, not sleeve to cable bundle. That's the only weakness he had. And it was a minor weakness at that. All right. I mean, it looks like it's checking all the usual boxes for a decent power supply.
10-year warranty, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
850 watts, 10-year warranty, and $150.
Yeah.
So in 9.5 years, when your dangly bit falls off, they'll still put it back on.
So if you're one of those people that likes to have, all the parts in your system from like the same vendor, and I don't know, some folks are, partial to that sort of a thing. They'll have like, Gigabyte and everything and all the things, except for like the CPU.
Be impressive.
Yeah, it would be impressive. All right. What do we got next? Maury's been busy. Yeah, I know. He's been keep hearing him in our backroom chat talking about working tirelessly away on
Working hard.
working on motherboard, the next motherboard review. So Gigabyte. See, speaking of the Gigabyte, all the things, right? Like so, with that power supply, you take this Z390 AORUS Pro. Nice looking board, black and orange.
Logos look so familiar.
They do. they do.
Socket looks so small.
So this is
yeah.
one of their Z390 options, which technically aren't out yet. So this is kind of a preview. Well, it's been announced that the 9900K will be for sale. Is for pre-order right now. Will go officially on sale next week. So you could probably think about when the timing might be for some of this content.
Sure.
Oddly enough.
Okay. So what do they have to do different on this? Because this is like
Where's the Chinese spy chip on this layout?
It's sandwiched in between layers. You can't see
it's
it.
underneath the battery, which is why Maury always
it's
pays so much
right by the
attention.
clear CMOS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the codec over here.
Where the crab, huh?
So like, what's the deal with the 390 boards? Like, what do you have to have this to put a 9900K in it?
Nope.
So that you could put in a 370 board.
Mm-hmm. Any
So-
300 series board.
So then, what's the 390 for?
It adds integrated Intel USB 3.1 Gen 2 in the chipset, and also Intel wireless. Now, some vendors aren't taking advantage of the Intel wireless.
Okay, but it's at least capable of it.
Yeah.
Still no Thunderbolt.
What about PCIe lanes?
No Thunderbolt.
Still no Thunderbolt.
PCIe lane's still the same.
Oh.
The core chipset functionality hasn't been changed at all. However, what Z390 allows vendors to do is sort of optimize the VRM designs around these new processors that they're within the same TDP, but they could have different power draw sort of characteristics. Right?
Okay.
Because if you have a core hyperthread processor, you might see you might need a slightly different VRM design even for the same 95 watt power delivery. If you think about how they turbo and stuff like that,
Right, because they do short burst. It's like the 95 watt is the thermal limit, not necessarily the power limit.
yeah.
Right, so it can actually intermittently take more juice.
And
Then,
the new processors are soldered, so you can have, in theory, more overclocking headroom. So you might want to beef your VRM.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Poor
is sort
Tim.
of the traditional.
Tim always gets soldered.
So is that the VRM is just like slightly beefier by the like base spec for the board as well?
There's no,
you always get
nobody knows what the base spec is.
Oh, because you always get the motherboard makers always end up doing some crazy board with like 30 phases and all this other stuff, which is like way overkill compared to what you might be plugging into it. But
Sure.
like, I don't know.
I mean, look, this happens with every other Intel CPU launch. They launch a new chipset that's doesn't really have a lot of new functionality.
Yeah.
The processor remains backwards compatible. Like this is another one of those.
It's like TikTok.
That is the
TikTok.
feature for these
It's
updates.
an opportunity for these guys to take another stab at these motherboards. Maybe those E370 designs had some weaknesses, and
Okay.
updated motherboards.
Sure.
We'll have to wait and see for the final reviews to see what Maury thinks. Cram more features in. That's what motherboard vendors do.
Man, look at the, geez,
Yeah, they're claiming.
crazy thick power plane.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Interesting. 2X.
2 8-pins. It's kind of a lot for a Z series motherboard.
The
yeah.
2X copper is not new for Gigabyte.
Yeah.
They've been pimping that out for years with no real data behind it to get anybody else to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at those lanes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's. Oh wait,
I still can't believe that they have not expanded PCI Express.
Yeah.
It's kind of ludicrous.
like
It's what, 16 lanes and plus
Yeah.
4 to the
To the chipset.
to the chipset.
Yeah.
Crap.
yeah.
I mean, I wonder if in all of this 10 nanometer not actually being a shipping thing for many, many years, whole debacle, if that wasn't planned in there somewhere and they just, they've been stuck on Skylake cores and they just haven't been able to retrofit anything in.
yeah.
That's kind of bullshit.
I wouldn't be surprised if they
swap
would-
out your PCIe controller and you
Yeah.
can add more lanes.
no,
I mean,
I'm not-
how many stinking lanes do Xeons have? No, it's all artificial. They don't need any more than 16.
Bolt it on like an AMD GPU.
Okay, so
Huh?
how do
Bolt
you
it on
tell?
like an AMD GPU.
How do you
Yeah.
tell which of these ports is the 3.1 Gen 2?
So one above the Type C port, probably.
Yeah,
It's the one that
probably.
tastes more like pineapples.
I just like,
You lick
but
it.
they labeled it the same.
Yeah.
Like, guys, what?
They both. Yeah.
It's like 3.0, 3.1, 3.1. It's a different kind of red. Ooh, it's like redder red. Yeah.
Actually, all of them are Gen 2. So
This one is too?
I
there's
think so,
one
yeah.
Type C Gen 2 and 2 Type A Gen 2.
Oh, wow. So they're all Gen 2.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting.
Wait, are you talking Linux now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Gen 2.
Gen 2.
Anyways, I guess we can move on to actually discussing these processors, which we've already discussed a little bit because that's the next
Oh, you
news story.
want to? All right.
On 2.
Oh, wait. We forgot we didn't look at the battery placement.
He's going to have a
It's
review of this board. Leave it
acceptable.
for
It's
the
below
review.
the
Oh, this
second
wasn't the
PCIe.
review.
No,
Okay.
this is a preview.
This was a preview. Gotcha. Okie dokie. All right,
God,
Ken.
spoilers.
Tell us about these announcements.
Wait, we have a priority interrupt.
Oh, priority interrupt.
Kitty interrupt.
I spilled beer and my cat came to drink it.
Good
I like
kitty.
how it just turns to look at you and then looks
Well,
at the
because you took it
camera.
away from the beer.
Like, what? What are you trying to tell these people? What are you blaming
Blaming
on
beer,
me?
not you.
Yes, Kitty. Go down to drink Josh's beer.
Yes.
Drunk kitty.
Calicos are mean drunks.
Yeah. All right,
All
so you went to an Intel thing.
Yes. They could have titled the event the least kept secret in the world because
We knew it was coming.
sort of the core announcement was the new mainstream processor that we alluded to earlier, the 9th gen processors, topping off the Core i9 9900K, which, as rumored, is an 8-core 16-thread processor with a base clock of 3.6 and a single-core turbo frequency of 5 gigahertz. We've seen that single-core turbo frequency of 5 gigahertz quoted on the 8086K. We had a bit of trouble getting there, so, it's not exactly a new spec. We did see that on the 6-core stuff.
Well, we can hope this one actually hits it consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that $488 is the pricing they're quoting on that slide. They needed to knock $2 off of that.
But that's not like end consumer processing. It's quantity 1,000. Like suggested retail pricing like that. Sub 500 essentially is what these should run. Now pre-orders have been running I've seen on Newegg they're running them for $580. So that's probably not a great idea. It's right now is to pre-order one of these processors for more than they'll probably end up going for at least in a couple of months.
Yeah.
God, it's so much more expensive than 2700X.
It is. However, if you think about the single-thread performance of Intel and how the 8700K looks versus the 2700X, and its one downfall, in theory, they fixed that, right? Now that they have core count parity. One of the other downfalls was the lack of good thermal interface material between the die and the heat spreader.
That's been a gripe for a while now.
Yeah, because they moved away from solder. Guess what? They said, we're moving back to solder.
Oh.
Now they keep calling it STIM, soldered thermal interface material, which just seems kind of like a
ATM machine?
No?
What?
Yes, guys, would you just call STEM over here?
Well, I mean, okay, so what's the problem with adding the S to the...
Well, I mean, I don't know. They don't just say the processors are soldered. They say it has this new solder thermal interface material, which... It's just likely means they're soldered, but I guess it could mean that they have.
Well, it says solder based.
Yeah, the soldered based interface material. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone's verified that this is how they used to do it, or if this is a new method.
It's the new solder.
I wouldn't imagine them reinventing the.
It's a kinder, gentler.
Well,
solder.
they hadn't done the solder thing in a while, so maybe they did have to reinvent the wheel. I don't know. That just kind of stuck out to me. The other thing that sticks out is the step below the i9, the i7 9700K is a 8-core not hyper-threaded part. So this is the first desktop i7, at least that I can think of, that isn't hyper-threaded.
Yep.
Which seems like it'll be an interesting trade-off between that and the 8700K, which was obviously 6 cores, 12 threads.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they move the i5 to non-hyper-threaded in the 8 series?
Yeah, I mean, the i5 hasn't been hyper-threaded in a long time, if ever, really, on the desktop. But
to have an i7, that's...
Yeah, and the i5 moved to 6 cores, not hyper-threaded. So, I don't know. I feel a little judgy about the 9700K. So, we'll have to try to get our hands on one of those, pre-order one of those, and test it out.
Yeah. It doesn't seem...
It doesn't, for the same price as an 8700K currently sells for today.
Right.
It seems like you're losing stuff that might be advantageous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So many questions to be answered.
So many questions. We already touched on the Z390 chipset. Not a whole lot there besides the Wi-Fi and USB 3.1 Gen 2 support.
Here's the part I'm interested in.
Yes.
The box?
No. Well, the box looks kind of cool. I'm interested in this list of Spectre and Meltdown mitigations. So what I really want to know is, are the ones that slowed things down mitigated?
Mitigated. Well, that's Spectre V2 for the most part. Is kind of what seen as the difficult one to fix, the one that had the performance impact in some scenarios, and that's again fixed with microcode and software, like we've seen on other platforms. So we have no real idea any potential performance impact. However, they did fix Meltdown V3 and the L1 terminal fault in hardware, they're saying. So in theory, there should be no performance impacts there in general, at least.
I mean, I guess it's possible they could have somehow accelerated some of this. Like, there's this microcode plus software fix for Spectre V2, but maybe it's not as big of an impact anymore. Or something, right? Like, we'll have to test it to see what the difference is there. All right, so here's hoping. I guess we'll know more.
Yeah, so available next Friday.
Okay.
In this weird acrylic box that I think just takes up a lot of space on store shelves, but does look kind of cool. I saw it in person, for what it's worth.
It's an acrylic box.
AMD kind of pioneered the fancy processor box with Threadripper stuff.
Thanks, AMD.
So,
everybody
sticks out on store shelves.
It's a megapixel race for boxes for CPUs.
Yeah.
Next, it'll be like the beach ball.
Yeah, now we're thinking round packaging.
You'll have to go to like a warehouse.
One day
to buy
you
your
might get your
CPU.
shipping crate.
Yeah.
You go to the loading dock in the back of the micro center where they can load it into your. You have to go with your hatchback.
I won't sell a lot in America.
It's just for like one. It's like that thing where you drop the egg off of the building and it has to like make it and like not break. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that wasn't their only announcements.
Okay.
Hey, so you remember way back in Computex where Intel during their keynote showed that nifty 28-core processor they had running at 5 gigahertz
5
on all 28
gigahertz?
cores?
Yes,
which
yes. With the liquid cooling and the
the more than liquid cooling.
yeah, all the crazy.
So it's like 2 power supplies and
The 1
2400
horsepower
watts and
water chiller.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Chipmunk.
that 28-core processor is now a real announced part in the form of the Xeon W3175X.
Okay.
It's not running at 5 gigahertz on our cores. Weird, I know.
what is it supposed to run at on?
Oh, they don't give the all-core number anymore.
Well, there's a base clock speed.
Sure, but they don't give the all-core turbo number anymore, which is the important one.
The single core is 4.3.
Yeah. So essentially, this is analogous to the Xeon Platinum 8180, which has been out for a while. So 28-core high-end Xeon scalable part for servers. This has some differences in that there's a base clock increase of 600 megahertz and a turbo 2.0 increase of 500 megahertz. So significantly higher clock speeds. It's unlocked. It's an unlocked Xeon, which is something you don't see.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. It's unlocked.
That you're going to plug into what motherboard?
Whoa, that's a whole nother thing.
Because like none of the Xeon boards are even going to have BIOS options to do overclock.
Have you not seen the pictures of those boards in my tweet?
Oh, it's
comparing
not going to work in there?
Yeah, so these are going to require new motherboards based around the LGA 3647 socket, which is the same socket as the server stuff, but they're going to have new quote-unquote workstation level boards from ASUS and Gigabyte at launch in December. These are massive, massive motherboards.
How are they going to specify that they're the different kind of LGA
Well,
3647?
there will be a motherboard
By
from
destroying
ASUS
the
and a motherboard
processor
from
when you plug
Gigabyte
it
that
in?
will work with this processor and nothing else will.
Right, I'm just saying like, well,
I mean,
I guess.
like,
This makes no sense.
well,
Like if you were on Newegg and you looked up motherboards by LGA 3647.
then you'd only see 2 desktop motherboards.
Okay, so it's only this. So that's not the same socket type as like the regular Xeon
It is the
socket?
same socket type.
That's my point.
But the only motherboards that exist for 3647 now are server motherboards and one dual socket ASUS workstation motherboard.
Okay, so you just
So
kind of
there's
have
no
to.
existing infrastructure really.
Yeah, you just have to know.
If you're buying this part, I mean, whatever.
Sure.
You got options,
It's
and there are like
gonna
2
be,
of them.
It's going to be
Yeah.
so expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as Josh alluded to, these motherboards are gigantic. They have 2 24-pin connectors. Like, I think the Gigabyte board has like 64 phase VRM or something like that.
You got a picture on these boards or no?
You know,
Oh, they did
they're
the solder
on.
the solder thing again.
No,
No?
the 28-core Xeon is not soldered.
Oh, you have a. You had a picture of the solder thing. In it.
Yes, because there's more information in this article that we're getting to.
Oh,
Yeah, in our Slack channel, I did a picture of it. Alan.
I can't get to that from here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't grab a picture of one of those boards at the event, but if you look around on other sites, you can see that stuff. They're 14-inch by 14-inch motherboards, as Kyle Bennett points out in the chat. You're going to require 2 power supplies to run. It's puzzling to figure out who this is targeting besides people who look at it. AMD having a 32-core desktop processor and go, wait a minute, Intel doesn't have anything close to that.
I mean, it's almost like just build the dang server at that point. If you
Well, this has a 50-watt higher TDP and is unlocked and will run at substantially higher clock speeds.
Oh, will it?
The base clock is 600 megahertz higher.
Okay.
But memory's capped at 2666, more or less.
But if it's unlocked,
Yeah, but you got 8 channels or something like that.
It's 6-channel ECC 2460 or 2666.
okay.
Don't
Yeah, so it's a weird amalgam of a server platform and a semi.
And wait till you see the
consumer level
prices.
platform. Yeah, no pricing. They said it'll be available in December.
Oh, they got pricing there.
No,
Right column there in the slide.
no,
RCP
RCP
it's a
pricing.
different
pricing?
slide.
Oh,
That's the different
okay.
CPUs.
Moving to the other announcement,
Yeah.
is the
Oh.
is the revision to the Core X series. So we currently have.
So otherwise, it's going to be $5,000 for that previous processor.
Oh yeah, it's going to be something
Yeah.
like that. Absolutely. I mean, and the
5G.
motherboard's going to be at least $1,000. I'm sure. They're gigantic, tons of power management.
It's
and-
expensive at half the price.
exactly.
I just couldn't help but notice that these quantity 1000 pricing on the right side column here, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading that right?
Yeah.
It's quantity 1000 of a $2,000 CPU. It's just a couple $1,000,000.
Yeah.
Just going to do a
Yeah,
couple
you do.
$1,000,000
That's
order.
what retailers do.
You just float
yeah.
on short-term credit.
So yeah, the slightly revised Core X series CPUs, so the high-end enthusiast desktop stuff. Essentially, these are the same Skylake-based cores as we saw with Skylake X with the 7980XE and the 7900X and stuff like that, running at higher clock speeds. They're soldered again.
Okay.
No
these
new
are soldered.
chipset, no anything, no real price change. The changes do happen on the low end where they move. I think the previous low end part was a 6-core, 12-thread.
Mhm.
So now they have an 8, 16 at the bottom, and they have two 10-core parts to kind of make up that gap. I think the 7820X was the 8-core part previously. So you have some adjustment there. I mean, if you're going to buy one of these Intel chips, you'll just buy the new generation when they come out in November instead. There's not a whole lot of change here besides thermal performance and clock speed increases. No, it's like a 300 to 400 megahertz base clock increase, and then 200 to 300 on the Turbo Boost 2.0 clock. So should be fairly substantial. Should help Intel pick up some of the grounds against that the 7980XE lost against the 2950X due to sort of clock speed stuff.
All right.
Hey, look at all those lanes.
Still the
finally.
same amount.
68.
If you include all
Or
the ones
more than
coming from the
AMD.
chipset.
Yeah.
Still the same 44
Yeah,
from
yep.
the CPU.
All right.
And it's worth noting that these
Uh-oh.
these processors don't have any hardware mitigations for any of the side channel stuff.
Yeah. 'cause
So
they're not
it's
new
just
enough.
it's just microcode and software. So,
All right. So that's all Intel.
Yeah.
And then AMD.
Yeah. Late Friday afternoon, AMD decided to put out a press release with availability on the rest of the Threadripper lineup that they announced, the 2970WX, which is the 24-core part, and the 2920X, which is the 12-core part, which aren't out yet. They set that up, the availability for the end of October, I believe. I don't have that. Let me pull up that article.
Starting October 29th.
Yeah. But the more important thing they announced is super interesting. So they announced that at the same time, they're going to release a new version of the Ryzen Master software, which have a toggle called Dynamic Local Mode. And these will affect the WX processors, which have the odd memory controller.
Did you
arrangement.
say local or loco mode?
Oh man, Loco Mode would be good.
Loco mode would be
loco
awesome.
mode.
Listen, you guys are doing it wrong. You can't just say it. You have to do the motion. You have to be like
Loco.
loco. Anyway.
Crazy performance, man.
Okay, so these were the ones that had like 2 of the 4 dies had memory controllers on them, right?
Yeah.
So
and
that
then the
means
rest had to hop over to the other die to hit a memory controller.
Yeah.
Which we saw manifest in some weird performance things. Definitely some decreased gaming performance compared to the 2950X.
right. If you had a thread that was hitting the memory hard and it just OS happened to, the scheduler happened to put that thread on one of the dies that was not, like didn't have its own local memory.
then you see a huge memory latency increase
Yeah.
because it had to jump across the Infinity Fabric and so on and so forth.
Right.
So this is a Windows service, which you can enable just within the OS without having to reboot or anything from the Ryzen Master software that is supposed to remap those threads to cores that have direct memory access as much as it can.
It's
Okay.
dynamically setting thread affinity or core affinity.
Yeah.
So it's kind of working behind the scenes of the Windows scheduler to get the Windows scheduler to do what it wants.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
But
Right.
why doesn't the scheduler just do it in the first
Because
place?
the Windows scheduler doesn't have that level of granularity.
Yeah.
Well, think of how many layers you're going here.
I mean,
like
I think
Yeah.
we'll get there eventually. It's actually kind of analogous to the Turbo Boost 3.0 stuff from Intel and the previous X series parts, where
That's
they had
true.
the most favorite core stuff.
That's true.
And that eventually got baked into the Windows scheduler. Now, I mean, Intel probably has an easier time getting something like that in than AMD does at this point, just with existing relationships, which is disappointing. But
Right.
I think AMD is doing this to, one, increase performance for consumers and make up what they can, which is definitely a great effort, and to kind of maybe show Microsoft, like, guys, if you do this, it will have significant performance ramifications and people will like it.
Yeah.
So maybe you should build in support for this sort of these non-unified memory architecture stuff.
Well, and
Right.
figuring out to be able to do it live within Windows as opposed to rebooting, going into your BIOS, turning on game mode, rebooting, and then doing what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But this isn't like they're not remapping how the memory, like the memory space. They're just kind of nudging the threads over to like where they where they really should be.
Yeah.
Which probably means it's just trying to keep them on the two dies that have local memory.
Yeah.
As opposed to letting the threads, so it's really
I mean, it'll be fascinating to see how this works, how quickly they can react, right? Like how quickly are they pulling all of this stuff? How if you're doing a very short operation, does it have time to catch up?
Yeah, it probably just tries to keep them. I don't know what it would do, because if it's telling the OS, okay, here's your affinity, only use these threads that correspond with these cores, then in theory it might kind of like nerf the CPU into like being half of what the CPU is capable of.
In theory, AMD knows the most about the CPU, so they should be able to mitigate that as much as possible, and they probably wouldn't put themselves into scenarios like that if possible.
Right. So you wouldn't want to run a thing and have it only use half the cores.
Yeah.
Like, because you have, you bought the extra cores for a reason.
Yeah, but this only applies for things that are not going to be using the entire core count.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using all of the cores, you're screwed. Like you're still going to have the same problem, right? If you're using all 64 threads, or if you're using 36 threads, you're still going to have a performance hit.
Yeah, some of those threads.
It can only do so much, but I'm excited to get hands-on, try to get a preview version of the software and test it out, because it would be awesome if you could get some extra performance out of that 32-core processor and maybe take away some of the downsides. So that was a real interesting part.
And this, so the CPU, there is no game mode anymore, right? Like there is no.
No, there is.
There still is.
You can put it in the game mode the same. Like you can do.
Is that the one where
you can do half or quarter CCX?
Well,
so you could turn it into an 8 or 16 core processor.
I'm using the wrong term. The other one where the memory is local.
No, you can't put this into unified memory.
Okay.
Yeah, creator mode or whatever they call it.
So the memory is always interleaved.
Yeah, you always have two NUA nodes in Windows.
Right. So pretty much no matter where the thread is, half of the data being read has to come from at least the other die. The other die's controller. Because it's interleaved.
It depends on how it's mapped.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's the thing where you used to have a switch in the BIOS.
Right.
Which is not there for this particular part.
Because it would be impossible.
Right.
I guess.
Well, or the performance benefit or the performance degradation would be so bad trying to map all of this memory local to all of the threads.
Yeah, that's true.
You could maybe do it. It just you would never want to.
Right, because you'd be chopping the memory into too small of bits, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're just being way more latent. But
the where I was trying to go with that is this dynamic local mode. You'll see a gain in games. I'm inclined to believe their numbers there. It's probably it's probably something like that.
There was plenty of performance to be had in some titles. So 47% is actually a believable number.
Right. But I will say, on top of that gain, you'll probably still see a little bit more gain if you are running in game mode, or if you had the part that you could have running in NUMA mode, where the memory.
So this is only really going to apply to the WX series processors,
right,
which you can't put into unified mode.
Right, but they're talking about gaming. You're on a workstation.
Sure.
And
that's always been their argument, is that this isn't meant for gaming. However, if they can get some extra gaming performance out of it, And I mean, there were other applications that are very memory dependent that saw some issues with this that it should help too.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Good to see him doing stuff.
Yeah. Next up, Dell announced Alienware M15.
That looks just
It doesn't-
like the prior one.
It doesn't look thin and light, but as gaming notebooks go, it does.
Yeah, this is sort of Alienware's first entry into the whole kind of thin and light gaming notebook market. Like we've seen machines like the Zephyrus and a bunch of stuff from MSI, like the stealth machines, but this is their first attempt.
Look at that twin cooling.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
So you can get it with up to the 6-core Intel part, the i7 8750H, and up to a GTX 1070 Max-Q. It comes stock with a overclocked 1060, they're saying. So even on the base level, we should still see a pretty good performance level. It would come with the quad-core processor at the base, though. So there's that. But beyond that, they have a couple different display options, 1080p, both 144 hertz IPS and 60 hertz TN, and then a 4K 60 hertz panel. No variable refresh support, no G-Sync support, which is kind of disappointing, especially with that 144 hertz option.
Yeah.
It supports the Alienware graphics amplifier, which is their external GPU solution that uses a physical, like, external PCI Express cable instead of Thunderbolt, which they've supported for several generations now. And you can actually find those amplifier boxes fairly cheap used on eBay. I was looking around. You can actually...
And they should still be compatible, right?
Yeah, I don't think they've broken any of that compatibility. That's kind of the entire point around this stuff. It's going to start at $1,300. You don't have any details on any of the actual like configuration options available at the end of the month. One thing you always can be concerned about with thin and light gaming notebooks is thermal throttling, especially with the 6-core CPUs and the 1070s. So, just kind of have to wait and see. But overall, it seems to be a pretty compelling package, at least. They're putting I think a 96 watt hour battery is an option in this thing, which is kind of insane for a gaming level notebook. You never see them put that high of a battery level option. It's usually a tiny, tiny little battery.
Yeah.
So maybe you can actually kind of use this as an all-around notebook.
All right. And the price starts at $1,300.
Yeah. Doesn't seem too bad. Again, we'll have to see what the exact configuration pricing ends up being.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, already we're talking about this. CES 2019.
Dude, it's in 2 months.
Oh.
I felt bad writing it, and then I realized actually it's not that bloody far away.
Yeah.
I've just been getting emails about it for 9 months.
It's in exactly 2 months.
Man.
It is the second week of January this year, which is nice. As opposed to the first.
How to tell somebody's been covering for tech for more than 5 years.
Did you just say 2 months?
Nutshell right there. Oh, it's CES. Oh,
you said 2 months?
CES again.
Well, I guess 3.
Damn it. Just trying to steal a month on me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
still a quarter of a year away.
Yeah, it is.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well,
No, I don't.
Nope. I don't know either.
So 7 nanometer. Everyone's on 7 nanometer now.
Everybody's going to be talking 7 nanometer.
And you get a 7 nanometer.
But only Dr. Seuss might have some in her hands.
Oh, that's true. She might.
Yeah, we don't really know what NVIDIA's doing. I mean, they got the 12 nanometer stuff, and they're going to be eventually going to 7, but...
I mean, not anytime soon.
They don't seem like they're going to be in a big hurry.
Not in a hurry.
They don't have a reason to be in a big hurry, I don't
we
think.
could, but why?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a design advantage that's not even funny.
Yeah.
You can only overcome so much in the current year with process node jumps.
It's true.
What do you make of these new AMD GPU, the 12 nanometer GPU rumors, Josh? It's the 12 nanometer
I don't
Polaris.
know yet.
I don't know either.
Because mostly it's from what I understand, is they've made some basic improvements to the process.
Yeah.
And so, it faster switching, power reduction, but a lot of the density stuff supposedly is through the libraries and the design aspects. So you can have more dense chips, but it's not, a lot of the physical characteristics of laying down, depositing metal and etching and all that other fun stuff is not changed dramatically, but the design rules have. So it's going to be interesting to see. They could resynthesize the RX series, not so much RX Vega, but certainly Polaris.
Yeah.
To do 12 nanometer to get a little bump in speed and a decrease in power. But is it worth it? I guess the worth it would be if you knew the exact roadmap of when products were coming out next year to figure out if a refresh is something that you could afford to do, because you're going to have new masks. Those are millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Change production, but Global Foundries apparently has a lot of 12 nanometer production capability.
Yeah, it feels like if you could put out a solid mid-range part for reasonable price in the graphics arena these days, people would be pretty happy considering the graphics launches.
Yeah, I mean the RX 570 and 580s are selling still pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean they're constantly kind of on sale, and they're a good performing part, and yeah, they run a little bit warmer and they pull a little bit more power than like the 1060, but they're not that bad. I mean, they're for the price. I think it's a good product, and so having a small jump there would benefit AMD in the short term. But I don't know. I mean, I've heard rumors that this Saturday is going to be the release of the RX 670.
Yeah, I honestly know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
No,
I mean, nobody's told me squat, but that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there is a nasty hole right now in what used to be the sweet spot sitting between $200 to $300.
Yeah.
Where you could go out and buy a GPU without, being an adult with a full-time job that can afford the damn thing, or without, saving yourself and living on ramen for 12 months as opposed to 6. But, shopping around at that $200 to $300 mark right now, it's depressing, because you're looking at least a generation old, if not two. So even if it is just something that they've got that they've improved, I mean, it would just be lovely to see something sitting there that was actually worth picking up.
Yeah.
While you're sitting there staring at $1,200 for a brand new one.
Or
we'll really know if they call it serious.
Vega 56 on sale for $499.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they rename this one Serious, then we know there's trouble. It's gonna be a dog.
All right. Next up, Xilinx. Yeah, we were talking about Xilinx last week too. And AMD break Google. Why is the L capital?
It's GoogLeNet.
GoogLeNet AI inference record. What is an AI inference?
Well, so AI inference, you hear a lot about training, about taking these massive GPUs like the Tesla V100 and taking an image set with known descriptions and training a given model to be able to recognize stuff, right?
Yep.
That's the very, very high level explanation of AI right there. But inference is the ability to use that model on an end device. So you're scanning something with your smartphone. Your smartphone is doing inference to the neural net.
Oh, I got you.
So
basically like a lookup.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's running the neural net that you created, that you trained.
Yeah.
Running the model.
Identify this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's last week at the Xilinx developer forum. That's kind of one of the areas that they were hitting very hard, is that their technology is very good at inference. Okay. And they were had a lot of claims about how they were better than NVIDIA in inference in some areas and some power efficiency stuff. But one of the things that came out of this was the Xilinx Alveo, which is, if you scroll down, is their first add-in card. So typically they just sell FPGAs to people who integrate them into products, and some people would make add-in boards, but they're running into a situation where these Xilinx FPGAs are available in the cloud with partners like AWS and Google Cloud, but people still wanted to be able to do the same application acceleration they were doing in the cloud on-prem.
Right.
Because some data you can't send to the cloud. Some people still want to build data centers. So this is kind of their solution. It's a new product line that they're saying they'll kind of continue with as new high-end FPGAs and their new ACAPs come out. And they're gonna target different PCIe form factors. Like they're gonna go smaller and bigger, essentially. Kind of target the whole power range from 75 to up to more towards the 200 watt area.
That card looks like it has 4 DIMMs and 2.
It does. It has DDR4 SODIMMs on it for memory.
And it also looks like it has a pair of 40 gigabit.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to ask if these are QFPs.
That it does.
I'm surprised that it doesn't have a fan just for that stuff.
Yeah. So they have an active one and a passive one. This is obviously the passive one.
I mean,
this is meant to be
in a server. It's in a server with minimum airflow requirements going through the chassis.
The passive one
it's going to have significant airflow going through just because of 1U, 2U servers that have those 40 millimeter nasty ass fans that do 10,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Those aren't twin 40s. Those are twin 100s.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's plenty of airflow.
Yeah. And sort of the second part of this is they brought AMD up on stage and they sort of announced this inference record that they've beaten by using a 1-socket EPYC platform with its 128 lanes of PCI Express and populating with all of these cards. They hit a ImageNet, which is kind of the standard data set for this sort of research for image recognition, inference record using the GoogLeNet, which is kind of an old AI model. So, I mean...
Yeah, but if you go back to that picture, something that we're not talking about, how much power that thing's going to have. Look at the 4 power plugs and where those power supplies are going to be at and what they're pushing.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have 225 watts for every card. Yeah.
And what about the 250 per? So that's 2 kilowatts right off the crank.
Yeah.
So that APC 2500 ain't going to be doing much.
I don't think you're running this on 120. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of an interesting thing. Kind of bringing attention the inference stuff as sort of they're kind of targeting as the next battleground. They're saying that while training has seen a lot of adoption, a lot of people the training market has been increasing rapidly, and NVIDIA has been taking advantage of that. Inference is going to be orders of magnitude bigger because you have all of these edge devices that need to be able to actually interact with these AI models, like your smartphone and all these embedded IoT stuff, and they kind of hope to make a big play there. So, AI, it's the future.
Right. And that's AI done by a GoogLeNet. Come on.
Oh, man, that server needs a massive pair of googly eyes.
I think that was GoogLeNet. It's French. GoogLeNet.
GoogLeNet.
GoogLeNet?
I like GoogLeNet.
Windows 10, take it away, Jeremy.
Oh boy, we're going to be here.
We'll just hand it right over to Jeremy.
So, it started out seemingly like your regular major Windows update where a small amount of people started screaming bloody murder. Fair enough, you had not enough space in your hard drive and you updated and it just wiped out all your local files. It's nothing major, you've got them all backed up.
Oh, was that all?
And then it sort of snowballed a little bit to essentially anything running. I think it was a Gen 7 Intel processor that was using the Intel display audio drivers.
Ooh.
Well, you just couldn't reboot again. It just wouldn't come back. And if it did, and of course you're running a laptop, because that's where these things are installed, your batteries got sucked to death immediately because the bloody thing was pegging at least one core. From there, it went to, no, it's not just necessarily people who didn't have quite enough space, but didn't have quite enough space plus a random extra amount, which Windows Update decided you have, in which case, again, your disk just got sort of cleaned up nicely apart from the system files. up to the point where it's now been sort of named the no documents bug. It hit the point where we haven't actually seen this officially before, where Microsoft pulled the bloody thing. You can no longer grab it either automatically or manually. And if you've got it, they strongly suggest you shouldn't install it, like, ever. Which is amusing because they were just about to start rolling out the Internet of Things devices as this was happening. And we all know that Internet of Things devices have a lot of space on them. So it would have been very interesting to see what had happened. So it's been pulled back, and they're now pushing it back out to the advanced circle. So if you're beta testing it, you're now allowed to get back into the beta program that we all.
I think it's even in the slow ring by now, so all insiders have access to it.
So if you're an insider, you can try it again if you so desire. I don't know that you might want to at this point.
I mean, I did the upgrade on my machine, and it didn't delete all my data, thankfully. I think as part of this, they are releasing like a Delta patch if you are on that version, because I mean there were like 2 million people that were on that version.
Yeah, it was pushed out, and it's very quick.
Well, I don't think they pushed it to anyone. I think you had to go download it. I don't think.
The day it was released, I got on my work machine and I hit check for updates. It's like 1809.
Sure, but it didn't,
like I'll do it.
But it didn't automatically download it and say reboot now. I didn't get to that stage. Like it wasn't actively pushing it. You still had to go find it.
Oh,
but yeah.
So long story short, if you've done it, stop using your computer. Step away. Phone Microsoft. Or if you've got one of those things in your neighborhood called a Microsoft Store, which I don't think anyone's ever been to, you can go in. They swear that they have fixes for it, but the more you're overwriting, the harder it's going to be. But they are offering for a free service getting the files that they deleted back for you.
How kind.
It was, it's a nice touch. So as far as Patch Tuesdays and major updates go, this is a pretty impressive one.
Okay. So that knocked out 3 separate related news posts all at the...
It sort of snowballed really quick.
All with one rant. All right.
Very exciting, though.
Hey, look, RGB RAM.
No, it's more than that.
Oh.
It's double wide RGB RAM.
Excuse me?
It's thick.
You could be the queen of my double wide dim sticks.
I don't understand.
So they're double capacity modules.
It's literally what we were talking about earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so the Samsung B dies are now going up to 32 gigs.
Yeah, so from what I understand, this is an ASUS thing, and they're working with G.Skill and someone else, I believe, to implement a not in the JEDEC DDR4 spec for double capacity, which essentially boards that have 2 DIMM slots, like ITX boards, allowing you to essentially stack the DRAM that would be on 2 slots into one. So you have 2 memory controllers on a Z390 board, but you would have 4 slots on a mainstream motherboard and a mainstream ATX motherboard. This is kind of compressing those 2 slots into 1 slot for each channel by putting more packages onto a DIMM.
Yep. So the DIMM would have the all the components of 2 DIMMs worth of memory, with the other bank of DIMMs, like whatever the select pin that would normally be high for one DIMM and low for the other one, like is somehow it's wired in such a way that you're just connecting it to just one socket. Yeah. So they probably had to manipulate 1 or 2 pins of the socket to do this, because the address and data lines are still the same. Like the other stuff would still be the same. It's just there's something different between those 2 DIMM slots per controller that they've kind of merged into one thing here.
And it feels like only yesterday that I was fighting compatibility issues with single-sided DIMMs versus double-sided DIMMs.
Right.
Yeah, this is like a quadruple-sided DIMM.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool if you're into the small form factor stuff, the ITX stuff. You don't have to sacrifice memory now. I'm sure this will be expensive memory, considering it's not really widely available from a bunch of vendors. But
Wait, isn't all memory expensive right
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Quadruple
You
sided.
can get you some good deal on DDR2 if you want.
now? Ugh.
Hey, maybe this is the point in the universe timeline, or the timeline of the universe where like the quad is developed. That's the unit of storage capacity in the Star Trek universe for digital stuff.
It's probably
14
exactly this moment.
Kiloquads. Yeah. So there you go. This is one quad.
Actually, that's defined in the tech manual, but
Oh, well, sorry.
we're not that hardcore here.
Not
Yeah.
not at the moment, at least.
I never bought that tech manual. Thought about it.
That's
Anyway.
good.
Yeah. All right. Hardware software picks of the week. While I'm opening these,
I'm gonna get an anti-pick of this Nest freaking furnace controller.
did it not?
It was
Do you notice it getting hot in here?
Which version of Windows is it running?
Yeah. Did it take the 18 whatever update? Anyway, while Alex is futzing with the thermostat,
And Allyn is writing down his pick.
no, I don't have to. Well, I'll type it in after. I don't have a graphic to go with it. So hey, Sears is going out of business.
Finally.
You don't say.
How long have they been doing that?
It's been a long time coming. However, if you still have a local Sears store, like at your mall or whatever,
break your ratchet and he'll get it replaced.
well, first, any ratchets that you have that are probably loose, if they don't feel like a new ratchet and they're Sears Craftsman ratchets, now's your time to bring them.
Although
the-
that might be a downside because the Craftsman quality has slipped.
Well, it's just some
dramatically.
it's just some
It's
hardened.
actually going to be worse.
It's just some hardened. No, they don't replace the ratchet; they rebuild it. They have
Don't-
kits that's just the two hardened steel pins and the
Sounds
spring.
like something who's losing their job in 2 weeks is really gonna want to do.
Yeah.
Well, they're so used to it, like that it's a very quick operation and whatever. But those kits might be hard to come by later, so
Probably.
make your Craftsman ratchet into a semi-newer one now. Also, from what I understand, there's like 1 or 2 more shipments worth of stuff from whatever the big Craftsman's warehouse in the sky, where all that stuff comes from and goes to all the stores. I overheard a guy stocking shelves. I was like, wow, they're still actively stocking shelves. That seems weird. And the guy was like, I overheard him talking to someone else, and they're like, yeah, there's like another 1 or 2 shipments or whatever coming. And they're progressively dropping the prices. So if you are looking for some potentially super cheap tools or other stuff, go at least check it out, because you might find some crazy deals. I had a trimmer of theirs that was acting up on me, and I was like, well, I better just go to the Craftsman store. And it's literally like everything must go. Like they have they have signs on the wall saying the fixtures are for sale. Like the things, like the shelves in the store, like everything in the
that's how
store.
this works.
Yeah, they're totally in closeout mode, right? And I was like, they had some newer model of the trimmer, and I was like, well, I just want the same model. I just want another one of the same model. They had the 4 model up there. Who knows how long I've been hanging there, but it had never been used. And I just grabbed it, walked to the counter, was like, eh? And they were just and they looked at me and looked over at the shelf, and I was like, yeah, sure. We'll give you another 20% off of that on top of the other whatever they were doing at the time. So I walked out of there with a high-end trimmer for $80.
Yeah.
Like a gas trimmer. So,
So, I mean, I would warn you that it looked like a war zone when they went out of business up here, but
if you
then
if
again,
you
I've
can,
seen your
down
Walmarts
here
down
anyways,
there, and
it's
actually
fine.
it's just going to look normal for you.
it was kind of
It was
crazy.
weird for Canada.
It was kind of crazy on the weekend. But if you stroll in there, if you can go during lunch or something during the week, it's, mine has been a ghost town. I keep kind of wandering in there every so often, every couple of days to check and see if they had some new truck worth of stuff come in and if they dropped the prices further. And sure enough, I went, I think it was last weekend, and then I went I don't know, yesterday, and they'd already dropped everything another 10%.
Yeah.
So
And if they do it like they do up here, check the online, because I picked up 2 sets of 1,000 thread count bed sheets and a brand new pillow for less than $100 online.
oh yeah, that's the other stuff. Don't just go there for tools. They're 80% off patio furniture. because it's winter. How are you going to possibly sell patio furniture with winter coming? Who wants to even buy it? So they're just trying to get rid of it. Like 80% off of patio furniture are expensive.
So
like, you know,
to correct tool stuff, apparently they sold off Craftsman to Stanley Black & Decker in 2017. So your warranties are still going to be good. You won't have a store to go to anymore. But
yeah, but they will replace it with something else, an equivalent.
Sure.
Right? An equivalent item. They're supposed to keep the Craftsman name going, supposedly.
Yeah, no, they already have. Like they bought it in 2017, and you can buy Craftsman and Lowe's now.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, you've been able to buy Craftsman at Lowe's for a long time.
April 2018, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Really?
I hadn't noticed that stuff in Lowe's.
Oh.
I don't think they're not stocked up in our Lowe's.
No, it wasn't Lowe's. It was the Sears outlet in Northside I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lowe's has their own brand that they push, like Cobalt and stuff like that.
Apparently, Ace is going to be the official store of Craftsman going forward, according to the chat.
All right.
Place.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, yeah, just, worth checking out. Find that, whatever that thing you kept seeing on the store at the shelf at the Sears store that you were scoffed at the price and was like,
yeah, because people were walking around Sears store. That wasn't the problem.
That's true.
Did you notice if they're discounting batteries at all?
7 years.
That is true. It took me back like 10 years just going to the store.
Walk around.
I was actually kind of sad.
Because the one over here in the mall is damn big.
Yeah.
Like they had the home outlet too. So it was like.
Right. And I was kind of sad walking around the place because I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. Like I'm going to have to go to some other whatever,
Amazon
to do that thing I replaced it with.
Yeah.
Subconsciously over the past 10 years. Buying some Chinesium equivalent stuff off of who knows where on eBay.
Well, you're making the assumption that Craftsman is not Chinesium.
It's true.
Because
it's good to Harbor Freight and replace
that's also true.
the last couple sets of Craftsman tools I've bought, I've not been impressed with.
Yeah.
I went out and bought some sockets and split them right down the middle. First time, just like
cool.
What?
That's not good. Anyway.
And speaking of things that are going out of business, like we're losing the Toys R Us up here, but apparently whatever chain it is that does Jeffrey the Giraffe is now buying them all up here.
That's Toys R Us.
But not Canadian Toys R Us, apparently.
Sure, but US Toys R Us is already dead.
Well, then
apparently Toys R Us is coming back somehow.
Yeah. Like rising from the dead sort of thing.
Have to start all over with the retail footprint. I'm sure that'll be great. It's like the one asset they had.
So, Jeremy.
Okay, so if you were alive in this time, you might not want to go back because you're going to terrify yourself at what you thought was cool. Or at least stay away from the magazines, for God's sakes. But if you've never experienced it, checking out the Kami 64 library that the Internet Archive just posted with over 15,000 emulatable games or, software. Like Bubble Bobble. Right there. Burger Time.
I played Burger Time on a Commodore 64. I played Castle Wolfenstein on a Commodore 64. Ghosts and Goblins.
Wait. Is there Bungling Bay? Please have it.
It has to be near the top.
Ultra Beast.
There's Shoplifter.
Gotta have Sex Mission.
Where's Bungling Bay? There's Jumpman.
Hey, Bard's Tale, the original.
Yep.
Oh,
I've got that on Steam now.
Okay. One of the best game soundtracks ever.
Oh, wow.
The Last Ninja. Where is Raid on Bungling Bay? That's like one of the good Commodore games. Archon. Archon was a sweet chess game. Ghostbusters. Yep.
The list keeps scrolling and
Sex
scrolling
Mission.
and scrolling.
What the hell is that?
That's disc 2 of 2, side B.
Oh, I don't.
You will even get hacks and like Donkey Kong bootleg.
Yeah.
Like it's freaking everything. Battle Chess. Oh, that was a fun one.
Load Runner was sweet.
There's why you're on Bungling Bay.
Where?
Right there, staring you in the face beside the mutant camels.
I never knew what the cover for that looked like.
Oh, wow. Sweet.
Yeah, Raid on Bungling Bay was sweet. Attack of the Mutant Camels, also sweet.
Epic.
Street Figures Guide to the Galaxy game should be in here somewhere.
I played so many of these games.
Oh, yeah.
That's a name we haven't seen in 20 years.
River Raid. There's a lot of games that, like, the Commodore was one of the...
Oh, man, Mule.
Yeah, Mule was
down at the
freaking.
bottom.
Mule was such a sweet turn-based.
Oh, I'm gonna have to edit this in post, ain't I?
Why?
'Cause
You
it's
got
got
It's on the
boobies.
Internet Archive.
I mean, I
It's
don't know.
open. But if you keep scrolling, you will eventually run into zines and mags and it's an interactive magazine and I can click through it and it's so amazing.
Yeah,
I really suggest you don't ever do that. You're probably going to ruin your childhood.
like there were some games back in the day that like the Commodore platform was just like one of the better ports compared to everything else at the time. Right, there are just some
Trash
games.
80 that Ken has made me think of when he picked the soldering up.
Yeah, like one of the big titles was like Congo Bongo when the Commodore first launched, right? And it was just, that's such a cool arcade game that, and it was like the Commodore was like one of the few platforms that actually looked like the arcade game, Anyway, good times. Yeah, those were the days. Okay.
And now you can relive them.
Well, you're talking as if I don't have like every Commodore ROM already.
Fair point.
I haven't played them recently, but
Forgot who I was talking to.
anyway, are we still on Jeremy's pick or are we on Josh's pick?
No,
Josh.
Jerish?
Cheers, me. Just because, the 9900X has been released at nearly $600. I figured that this one on sale with a cooler will give you 90% of the performance for half the price. Yes, it's the 2700X. It's now under sub $300. You get a good cooler. Seriously, good cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, you can happily turn off the lights as well, which is nice. But they're solid cooling, and you get 8 cores, 16 threads at 4.3 gigahertz. And they run nicely.
That's not too shabby at all.
Yeah.
And they're inexpensive.
Yeah.
I almost.
Weird. I was looking for one of those earlier today, and I couldn't find one except on Newegg.
So you have a couple of days where it's going to be at this price before it jumps back up. So if you're curious, you're going to get more PCIe lanes, possibly more flexibility with M.2 and SATA, because let me tell you, mixing and matching M.2 and then seeing which of your SATA drives works with Intel, from my limited experience, really sucks.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as bad on the AMD platform, because I've got a Z97 in there, and I was happily running like 6 drives, and I put an M.2 stick in there, an NVMe, and suddenly I have 2 SATA drives that work, and that's it.
Yep.
No matter what you do, you're just boned.
Well, sometimes you can put it in one of the other M.2 ports if there's another one.
There's not on this particular one. But
Z97's old enough that they're still on DMI 2.0, I think. So it was way more bandwidth constrained.
But it's awful.
Yeah.
But
not a great experience.
The 470 is a much better chipset.
It really is.
All right.
So there you have it.
Ken, what you got?
So, China.
Mm-hmm.
All the way from New York.
Not just for knockoffs, as it turns out. Sometimes they actually innovate. There's been
Just
this...
as Supermicro. Okay, that's not true,
Oh.
but anyway.
It's the wrong kind of innovation.
I don't know, at least a year or so now, there's been a product on the market called the TS100. It's kind of a little like pen-sized, made out of aluminum soldering iron that had like a 19-volt power supply with a barrel plug on it and these interchangeable tips. And it was actually a pretty good performing soldering iron from what everyone said. It was like 27 watts or 30 watts or something like that. Right?
Okay.
Like, so it's not a whole lot of power, but it's the type where it has the thermocouple built into the tip, so it can heat up super quickly.
And you tell it which temperature you want it to go to.
You can get to like 300 C, and it was all fine and dandy. But they're just coming out with this version. This is the TS80, which is actually odd because it's a lower number than the older one. But anyways,
is it supposed to be smaller, kind of? I guess.
Yeah, but apparently it performs just as well, if not better, if you look at some of the YouTube reviews. But this one is USB Type-C powered, and it uses a Quick Charge 3.0 connector. So you just get a like $10 Quick Charge 3.0 wall charger or a Quick Charge 3.0 battery.
Oh, Yeah.
And you have
But I didn't
yourself-
think you were supposed to solder your laptop while it was powered on and charging.
Why not?
Oh, all right.
And you have yourself just kind of a very portable, pretty high performing soldering workstation for $80. This particular sale comes with some of the accessories. Comes with actually comes with the power plug
Does
adapter.
Tim come with?
Tim? No, Tim doesn't
Tim?
come.
No, stim.
No soldering.
Soldering
Tim?
thermal interface material.
Mhm.
So it comes with two tips. Comes with like the chisel one and the fine point one. Comes with like a little stand. Which comes with the USB-C power adapter, which a lot of the cheaper sort of packages don't.
Is that a C to A?
No, it's a C to C.
Oh, there's a C to C. The
Yeah.
cable looks like a C to A is one.
I didn't look at the actual photo, but a quick charge 3.0 charger is usually a USB-C port. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's $81. You're gonna have the slow boat shipping from China, but you know,
Did you order one already?
I haven't yet. I just came across this sale.
Mm.
If you go on YouTube and look at some of the reviews, like EEV blog did one.
If you compare this to any other, I just need to solder something, this looks way easier.
Oh yeah, and it
Like
will
the
be
small-
higher performance than your $35 Radio Shack
Yeah.
iron. It will heat up way quicker.
Yeah. Small
It-
portable thing, like,
yeah.
you know,
If you need to go solder something in your car, like you just
Right.
get a quick charge 3.0 battery, and you have a really really small portable soldering iron package that will perform really well.
Yeah.
like
it was only a couple weeks ago I had to solder something on a car, and the
Yeah.
stupid battery powered one I had just wasn't
or
cutting
the
it.
butane ones that suck.
Yeah.
Oh, those are terrible.
Not
Oh,
made for
no, don't buy
electronics
those.
at all.
Running like this extension cord halfway down my driveway just to plug in the stupid soldering iron was kind of cumbersome. I should probably just order this right now.
Yeah, no, like I'm excited to get my hands on one.
All right.
Yeah.
I got a fourth one here.
Yes,
Is this
you do.
Alex?
It is.
What?
This one's mine.
What? I thought this was Maury.
No.
Not nearly big enough for him.
Oh, that's true.
Hey, this is plenty big. This is size does matter in this regard.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one guy actually asking in the chat looking for a higher performance cooler. Well, this is great timing because this thing's freaking amazing. It's the Noctua D-Type NF-A15. This is actually the one I was looking for is the S version, not the standard version. This looks like this. I don't know if this is the S or not. This might be the standard.
Well, this is the one with
It's the
the.
15S.
Is that the S?
So
Yeah.
it says in the product description at least.
Oh, yeah, I was looking at the NF-A15. So yeah, the NHD15S. This is a revision of the standard NHD15, which is a revision of the D14.
I think so.
And the difference between the S and the standard is that the S has one fan, and the fan assembly and the heatsink assembly is offset. You can barely see it in this picture, but it is actually. If you get on the next one down, it should show
It's
it.
here.
There you go. So this clears most motherboards' first PCI slot.
Oh, it's offset to
Yeah.
the right.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like interesting.
I had about 2 millimeters clearance to the GPU and about a centimeter to the power supply. This thing covered the entire CPU area of the motherboard.
Oof.
I didn't need an exhaust fan. It just blew it right out of the back of the case.
It's pretty awesome.
It's huge. I mean, the box is bigger than my head. It runs quiet. It runs cool. It took my 8700K right out of the box to 5 212 cores and 4 7-on-6.
Sweet.
You know what? If you got the room, buy one of these instead of an all-in-one liquid cooler, because eventually your liquid cooler is going to get loud. The pump will have they just get loud over time.
We have-
That's
we
why
have
no
liquid-
one's around
honestly,
the
even
office.
fresh out of
Yeah.
the box, the performance is not that different.
We have all sorts of different brands of liquid coolers. Like we have them on all of our test beds,
Yeah.
pretty much, and they all make noise now.
Oh,
Yeah, but apart from the layout, it looks like my U14S or my Threadripper.
Yeah.
I think mine actually weighs a bit more because the gold
These are
plate's a bit
actually
bigger.
these are actually very light. The Noctua coolers.
that is not a light piece of metal at all.
Oh, it's not.
No,
No.
it's just over 1.1
Yeah, I
kilo.
think you're used to the smaller ones.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys got the NH20s or something around here?
Which ones do we
I
got?
think there's the U14s.
I don't know if those are the
I can't
14s. Those
remember
things are.
their-
I could never find those online because I was actually looking for a set of those.
I don't know. They didn't
Um,
seem that heavy when I was.
Well,
messing
the
with
ones
them.
we have here are really quite light, but this
Yeah.
thing is a
Yeah,
beast.
we have the lower end ones.
Yeah, but it's only like
Well,
half
and
of
you,
this.
you sort of forget how much a heatsink used to weigh. Like 500 grams was an absolute monster of a heatsink,
Yeah.
and now you're looking at it going, "What the hell am I supposed to do with that? Chill an atom?"
I
Right.
mean, it had no problem holding my CPU to 80C. And it went from 80C down to idle 35 in less than 5 seconds. It sucks some serious heat.
Yeah.
And if you want to push it even harder, you can. It includes clips, so you can get a second fan and run it just like the standard A15 or D15, I should say. I've been very happy with this.
All right,
Cool.
sweet. Well, I guess that does it. PCPer.com/podcast where you find the show notes, and Twitter.com/PCPer is where you can yell at us. And now that Jim's back, sort of, he hasn't died yet.
Yay.
Then
Submit your mailbag questions.
yeah, put mailbag
to-
questions in the comments of the mailbag that will go up. We'll probably
Today.
tomorrow. Yes,
Thursday.
one of those.
No, Friday morning.
No, it's good. We're doing it Thursday. Giving it to
Oh,
the people.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, since
Oh,
it's
nice.
already done.
So put the questions there or in the comments on the YouTube video itself. I'd probably say you're better off putting the comment or the questions in the
In the mailbag.
in the article, in the mailbag article on the
Yeah.
site. And
Before we end this, there's something happening this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's this
You know,
weekend.
somebody might show up.
Wait a minute, why wasn't there wasn't a plug?
My bad.
Not like it's not the first thing on the front page right now or anything.
How did
But
that
yeah,
get there?
so this Saturday, kicking off at ridiculously early in the morning Eastern time, so about 9 a.m. or so, there will be the Fragging Frogs VLAN. It's going to be ridiculous because it always bloody well is. It will go on because we've got some overseas members that don't show up until later at night. So, if you do have stuff to do during the day, don't just brush it off. No, once you're done your stuff, log in, have some fun. There's going to be people at the 17th VLAN. So come, join, enjoy. It will be wonderful.
I will at a minimum try to at least be on the TeamSpeak or whatever the chat method they're using in there. I'm sure it'll be.
I'll probably show up for a little
Team
bit.
Speak.
Yeah,
I guess
think I could
Fragging
probably be
Frogs
around.
have a World of Warships group, so
They do.
that's cool. Yeah.
There's almost always people looking to play. And more often than not, several people playing.
Wonder if anybody will play that stupid.
The
tank
fun
game
people
that I
are
can't
playing
remember the
Dino
name of.
D-Day, but, that's just up to us.
Okay, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So with that, I say have a good week.
I say.
And check out the mailbag. Now that we actually got one.
Gotta check out the mailbag. It's freshly shorn.
Yep, it's all Josh.
Oh, Josh, all the time.
Jim made some funnies within the as Josh was scratching his head about different things. Jim was inserting them into the video in comical ways.
They are quite
Nice.
amusing.
It was good stuff. All right, so I guess we'll see you next week, and that's it. Hasta la vista.